Hello! So today we are going to take a look at a really interesting and unique vintage effects processor that was used by some very famous artists, and that is the MXR M-129 Pitch Transposer from 1979. So in a nutshell, Terry Sherwood and Keith Barr founded audio services in Rochester in New York State in the early 70s as a repair shop. And after a couple of years, they got fed up of the build quality of things that they were repairing for clients and thought, we could do better than this. So they started having a look at making some of their own products. And the first thing they made was a mixer. And the subsequent name of the company was a play on the word mixer, MXR, mixer without the vowels. Having made precisely one mixer, they got bored and thought, do you know what would be more interesting than this? Would be effects pedals, which was something they had already started dabbling around with. And so they made what have gone on to become incredibly famous guitar pedals. The Phase 90, the Blue Box, the Distortion Plus, the Dynacomp, a number of others. And those pedals were used by artists like Jimmy Page and Dave Gilmour, and Eddie Van Halen, and Randy Rhoads, Joe Perry, Andy Summers, and many, many more. So having put themselves well and truly on the map, MXR was expanding, and in the mid-70s they employed some new talent. And among the people they employed was Tony Gambacurta, who was the guy who would eventually go on to design this. So what is the MXR Pitch Transposer? Well, as luck would have it, Tony Gambacurta has uploaded his memoir of inventing this thing on his website, which I've linked in the description. Goes through how it worked, what technology they used and why, and what hurdles they came across that they had to get over technically. In particular, because this is 70s digital technology, it could not process audio with the speeds and with the accuracy that we can do now, and so it was really glitchy. So they had to find ways to cleverly hide all the glitches so that it sounded as smooth as possible. It still colours the sound heavily, which is great, but it could have been basically unusable had they not found some little innovations to work around that. So on the front panel there's a bypass and then 4 presets, and you navigate through them just by making skin contact with them like that. And this is the thing I believe is unique, because I don't know of any other 70s digital pitch transposer where you can finger drum on the front panel in time to the music, as you've seen me doing throughout this video. And this actually came from Jim Cooper from Oberheim, who in turn got it from Don Lancaster's CMOS cookbook. And sure enough, the Oberheim OB1, which came out around the same time, has got patch memory on it, and you select the patches by making skin contact with them. So that's a little interesting tidbit for you. So I'm just going to show you one pitch shifter because they're all the same. They're just presets. So I'm going to go over to the 100% wet mix, and you can hear, without any pitch shifting, it is already heavily colouring the sound. So we can now
pitch my voice up, and it will go up, 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 and it will get pretty high actually, and then
we can go down and down and down and get pretty low actually. Find somewhere in the middle. So just bypass it for a second so you can hear that it heavily processes the sound, but also there's a little bit of a lag between the audio going in and coming out, which is why you normally blend back in the direct signal, and it sounds best like that anyway. But for now, I'm just showing you 100% wet, just so you hear the actual effects. Now, the final part of the puzzle is there's regeneration or feedback, which is where it gets really wild. So let's listen to that. So we dial in some
regeneration, and it's going completely mental. Oh my goodness! Wow!
So that's where it gets really crazy. So you can do everything from just gentle chorusing through to wild, strange spatial effects. And there's one other thing it does, which I'll show you a little bit later as well. So a couple more things to talk about. There were 3 versions of this effect. I'm going to talk about 2 for now. The earliest ones were blue, and then the later ones were black. So this is a later unit. There was also an additional digital display that you can get for it that connects on the back that gives you a readout of the pitch shifting, but you can also digitally, incrementally step through the pitch shifting rather than just using continuous knobs. And the last thing is that there is a control voltage input for preset 1 on the back, so you can use a CV to modulate the pitch over time. So let's use a Syntrix 2 and have a little play with that. So who used the MXR Pitch Transposer? Well, quite a few artists actually. So firstly, John Fox, he used this as well as the 126 flanger doubler. And in this photo, you can just about make out the 126, which is why my first demo was a kind of ode to him. The next band were Big Country. Stuart Adamson developed a sound that relied entirely upon the MXR Pitch Transposer, where he would have pitch shift either up an octave, down an octave, or up a fifth whilst playing lead parts, and it got nicknamed the bagpipe guitar sound, probably because they were a Scottish band and people are lazy and make those kind of associations. But he talks about it in this article here if you want to read more. So that was a big part of their sound. You can hear it all over their debut album. Another band was U2. The Edge used the MXR Pitch Transposer as well. Apparently Peter Hook used it on his bass, as well as other effects that he's known for using. Daniel Miller, I think, even still has one in the Mute Records studio, so it's probably been used on goodness knows how many recordings through him. There's Bon Jovi, there's King's X, and probably the best known of all is Trevor Rabin's guitar solo on Owner of a Lonely Heart, which was the MXR Pitch Transposer pitched up a fifth and then blended in, and that is the guitar sound. Now, for copyright reasons, I can't play Owner of a Lonely Heart, so I'm going to play something that sounds suspiciously like it. So what became of MXR? Well, unfortunately, into the 80s, as with so many of these companies, they started to struggle and they went out of business, largely due to companies like this making affordable products. The competition was just too strong. Keith Barr went on to found Alesis, who you may have heard of, and Terry Sherwood and a bunch of other people, including Tony Gambakurta, founded Applied Research and Technology, or ART, which is why there is then a third version of this, the ART badged pitch transposer. Another of MXR's earliest engineers, Mike Liacona, and his wife have since founded Whirlwind USA, and in fact Tony Gambakurta has joined them there, and they are still making effects processors even now. They can't be stopped, can they? Which is awesome. But this was what they were up to in the late 70s. An enormous thank you to Tom for the loan of this unit. I sat next to Tom on the train. I've borrowed this. He's borrowed my Simmons STS3. That's how these things work, isn't it? Thank you also to you for watching. If you want to help me make more videos like this and you want access to the music from my videos, the stems of the music from my videos and any sample packs I make, and to get involved in monthly Q&As, then please consider my Patreon. Otherwise, thank you very much. I'll catch you on the next one.
Yeah.